Today we're going to use this Revopoint 3D scanner to scan the Panamera, which will help us design the wide body. Alright guys, so last time we got the fenders all cut up so that we can actually use the new wheels, and I can now do full lock in the front, and the rear we cut up the quarters and the door, re-welded the quarters, used a bunch of panel bond and paint and everything, so we're in good shape now. It is fully functional, and I did drive it a good bit and made sure to really be turning hard and stopping hard and everything like that. And then I examined everything to see if I was rubbing. I had some tape in some areas I was worried about just to see if it would rub. And I really haven't found anywhere that it was rubbing. I know at full lock it's a little bit close to a couple areas in the front here, but like I said before, it's only really using full lock when you're parking, so I'm not super concerned about that. Everywhere else it seems to be good to go. And the new tires actually feel really good. The old ones were getting to be pretty worn out. So today the focus is going to be on scanning the car, and that's going to be necessary to help me with the design of the wide body, because of course this is a fully custom build. And to get the scanning done today, we've got a new device right here. This is the new 3D scanner. Specifically, this is the Revopoint MetroY Pro. So this is a blue laser scanner, and from my research it seems like everything to do with cars, it is very useful to have a blue laser scanner, and it's kind of a newer technology. And what it does is it makes scanning shiny or dark objects very easy, and especially when you're dealing with a car body like I am today, that should really help getting an accurate scan versus the older technology. And because it is blue light, you shouldn't need to use any type of a scanning spray on the shiny surfaces. It should work as is. And this particular model has 5 different scanning modes depending on what type of object you're trying to scan. First off, it has a single line mode, and this mode's really good for capturing deep holes or deep pockets or narrow surfaces. It has parallel line mode, which is basically 15 parallel lines. This is good for intricate or complex detailed objects. It also has full field mode, which is 62 lines, and this mode you don't even need to use any markers, and it's really good for objects with a lot of features. So think of like a small part that has a lot of detail, but you can't really get markers in any good spots on it. So this is a great mode for objects like that. Next up, the one I'm probably going to use the most today, the cross line mode. So this has 34 cross lines, and this is the one that is great for glossy and black surfaces. And because I'm using it on my car body, I know that's white, kind of bright, and glossy. So I think I'm going to use this mode in conjunction with using the markers, and I should be able to get a good result. And the last mode is the auto turntable mode. So that's using this turntable that it came with here. And it's actually pretty cool. I tried this out. It integrates with the software. So what you do is you set the scanner up on a tripod pointed towards the turntable, and the software will control this turntable. So basically turn a little bit and then take a still shot using the scanner, and then it even tilts as well. It can tilt 30 degrees either way, so you can get all of the features on an object. So this is great for, obviously a smaller part that will fit on here, and then you can kind of just set it and forget it, and the scanner will do its thing in conjunction with the software to capture all of the features of the object. And also a cool thing about this scanner is it does have wireless capability, so you basically use this little mount, which is actually a battery that will connect to the scanner here. So that way you can just connect the scanner there, it will power it, and then it goes through Wi-Fi to your computer, so you don't always need to be wired direct to the computer. And if you are interested in doing some scanning yourself, I've got some links down below to this specific scanner along with a code to get a discount on your purchase. So now today my main goal is going to be capturing exactly the location of the new wheels and tires in relation to the fenders. And of course I also want to know how much did I actually cut out, because I need to make sure my new panels will cover that gap. I don't want to be attaching down here where there isn't material anymore. So I want to know exactly where the fender sits, the new bumper cut, and then the new wheels. And in the rear here, a very similar idea. We've got the new wheels and tires. I cut back the quarter panel and the whole door here. So I need to know exactly where that's all sitting. And again, I may try to go around the back because of course I'm going to be designing more parts for the back of this car as well. So now that I finished scanning the car, this is what we're left with. So I can quickly take you through the software that we're going to use to basically clean up the scan and get it to a usable file. And we're going to be using the software that's included with the scanner. This is Revopoint software. So this will have all the tools necessary to clean up any inconsistencies, smoothing out parts, decreasing the file size. So first up, all we've got right now is basically points in space. So what we're going to do is fuse these points into a point cloud. And for this one, I've been just using what is recommended here that is based on the file itself. It looks at the file and kind of knows what the best settings are. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to use the fast fusion method. All right, so now we've got the point cloud created, and you can see it already actually cleaned up a lot. There was a lot of little artifacts that were out here sitting in space. And this already looks really good to me, especially the surfaces that I care about, which are the fenders in this area and just really the location and shape of the tire. So now we've got all of these tools up here, which are all about editing the point cloud itself. And so basically isolation will find things that are not connected to the main body, or basically parts that are just floating that you really don't want to keep. It will identify those and you can delete them. But taking a look at this, I really don't have any of that going on, so I don't need to mess with that. An overlay will basically find things that are overlapping and then identify those, and then you can delete them if you don't need them. But again, I don't really see any of those types of issues. There could be some at the edges here, but like I said, I really don't care about those surfaces. I really care about these ones, and they all look really clean. And at this point, you can smooth out the surfaces some. You can also do this after you create the mesh over here. So I think for now, I will probably just leave it as is. Like I said, it already looks pretty good, and it's not like I have anything crazy going on in the surfaces I care about. So I think we can kind of skip over that. Now simplify will actually get rid of some of the points. So this is where you can start to get rid of some data, because in general, if you don't get rid of any data with a scan this large, it's probably going to be a huge file. You can see that I have 26 million points in this. So I think I may actually try to do that at this point. You can also simplify the mesh here, which will also make the file size smaller. But I think right now, I think I will try this. You can always undo this if you need, but I'll stick at 40% and try that out. All right, so now you can see we went from 26 million down to 16 million points. So now I can just take a look at it and see what it looks like. As you zoom in, it looks like, there's a lot of open area here. But since this surface is so flat, that really shouldn't matter with when it does create the mesh. So we're going to stick with this, and that should make basically all of the processing time a little quicker once we get into the mesh part. And so now this is the point that we mesh, and it really becomes a surface instead of just points. And I am going to stick with a fast mesh. So far for me, the fast mesh has worked really well. This is not a feature-rich part. I mean, it's really large surfaces, and I only care about the simple ones. So I think the fast mesh is not going to be an issue. If you were dealing with something super intricate, maybe you'd want to go ahead and do the high quality mesh. The high quality will obviously take longer. Okay, now we've got the mesh complete. And what that pretty much means is that we've created a whole bunch of triangles between all of those points. And really zooming in on this, it looks really good. When I'm this close and you really can't even see the triangles, that means that it's a pretty high quality mesh. And you can see that we've got 32 million triangles in this. So that's still a lot, and I will be trying to reduce that because this file size will be enormous and probably be a little difficult to work with in the CAD program because of the file size. And also really depending on how good your computer is, if it can even handle modeling with something like this. So we're now going to go into the parts that you can edit the mesh, and they're actually kind of similar. There's still the isolation where it isolates parts that are disconnected and then you can delete them. Fill holes is pretty useful. For this one, I did not have it remove the markers. You can do that when you do your fusion, because I actually found if you just leave them in, for the most part, it's very smooth. You can see little dimples here and there where the markers were, but I found it easier to just leave them in rather than take them out and then after the fact try to fill all those holes in. So again, like I said, this model came out super clean for the areas I care about. So I really don't need to be using much of this editing because the file looks really nice as it is. And if I really wanted to take out some of this texture here, I could use the smooth, but that's really so small in comparison to the scale of like this whole fender. So that's going to be fine to leave. So I think really all I need to do now is try to get this file size down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use the simplify function, and I'm actually going to take it the whole way up to 90 and see how that looks. I know in the past I've used like 80 and it's still fine. So I'm going to try 90. I can always undo, basically. You can always go back to like the fused part or the raw part. So you can always go back and basically overwrite what you've done here. So I'm going to try 90 to really get this number of polygons down. And I'm thinking that still should be plenty smooth enough for what I need. Okay, so we got the mesh simplified successfully. And as you can see, this surface finish is still really good. And we were able to get the polygons down to 3 million. So this should be a much more manageable file size once we export this. But yeah, overall, I mean, this looks really clean. I'm definitely happy with how this came out. What I'm really after here is knowing where this cut is, where this tire is, and then also getting the exact geometry of the car, of all these curves. That would be basically impossible to try to measure and model. So having this is so powerful because I can use this to know exactly the curves that I need to match what the existing body is to attach my new fenders. And now that I got this simplified and I'm happy with how it looks, I can go ahead and export this. So I'm going to be exporting this, the mesh, and this is going to be basically a surface file. So you've got a couple file options to choose from. I like to use STL because I'm familiar with using it. I know it should have no issue importing into my CAD system. Alright, so now that I've got that saved, I can go ahead and open up SolidWorks, and I should be able to import this and see how it looks. Okay, so now I've got it open in SolidWorks. It looks a little funny with this grain because what's happening is it's actually showing all of the edges of every single polygon. So I can turn that off, and so now it looks a lot better. But yeah, it basically looks exactly like it did in the Revopoint software, which is great. No issues opening this file. And I checked, this file size was about 157 megabytes. So that's still pretty large, so I could probably simplify it a little bit, but I'm going to keep it as is for now. I can always go back to the Revopoint software and simplify it more. But for now, I think this should work well for what I need. Alright, so now I just went through the same process with the rear quarter, and the one different thing you saw me do is I had basically some imperfections in this area. So what I did was I actually did a second scan of just that area. So that's what these two are here. Those are the two scans within the same project. And this was the first scan that had the area here that was a little messed up. So I went in and just basically deleted that. And then I went ahead and did this second scan of just that area, deleted the stuff I didn't need on the outside, and then I used the merge function. And you basically select a couple points, and then from there it can pretty much figure out how the two need to go together. And it actually worked perfectly, so that now I have a fully clean model. You can see it merged them perfectly together. There's no seams anywhere that you can see. And I already exported this one as an STL as well, so we can bring that over to CAD. And here it is inside SolidWorks, so it opened up totally fine. Again, it looks a little funny until you do this, and now you can see the model looks really clean. So what I've got here is a downloaded model of a Panamera. Basically, I just tried to find one that was the closest to my specific body style. And this one's actually a GTS, so it's not exactly the same. My exhaust would be different. The rear bumper is actually really similar to my rear bumper. Mainly, I got this one because it does pretty much have the correct front bumper on it. So I have this model just because this will be helping me visualize the actual full wide body on the car. So now what I just did was I pulled in my scans and tried to somewhat align them with this model. I got it pretty close, so you can really see now how much I cut out of the fender and where these new body lines are compared to the old. Now this model is pretty close, but I know it's not scaled exactly right. So I'll really be using my actual scan data to create the wide body, but it will be nice to have the full car there to look at. So now I also brought in the rear quarter, and same thing, you can see how much I cut out of the body. Tried to get everything pretty much aligned. The one thing you can actually see is how my new taillights, the opening is only right here, and I've got the covers over top of the old part of the taillight. And so now that I've got both of these scans into the model, I can get started with designing the full wide body. And overall, I'm very pleased with the scanner and the quality of the scans that came out. I know that I've just only scratched the surface of what that scanner can do. And like I said, if you're interested in the scanner I used today, I've got links below with a discount code. So now coming up soon, I'll be showing the full design process of the wide body. But next video, we're actually going to be making some more changes to the rear of the car.